Good evening. The Municipality of Anchorage Platting Board Authority will now come to order. It is November 6, 2019, 6:30 p.m. May we have roll call?
Clayton Walker.
Present.
Don Porter.
Present.
Kevin Cross.
Present.
Valerie Ritz.
Present.
Mark Seward.
Present.
Jenna Weltzine.
Present.
Becky Lipson.
Present.
Thank you.
We have action summaries dated October 2nd, 2019. They're just a matter of record, correct? May I please have a motion to approve the action summary? Kevin Cross moves and Don Porter seconds. Is there any opposition to the motion on the floor? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have the minutes from Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Kevin Cross has moved. Valerie Ritz has seconded. Are there any corrections or amendments that need to be made to the minutes? Seeing and hear none, are there any opposition to the motion on the floor? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. The minutes are approved. Turning to special order of business, may we have disclosures? Any of the board members have disclosures tonight? Mark Seward.
Through the chair, in case S12515 Wessels subdivision, I have to recuse myself as I am the petitioner's representative on this case.
And we don't need a motion, I'm instructed, but you are instructed to recuse yourself from that matter. S12515. Do you have any other disclosures, Mr. Seward? Nope. Becky Lipson.
Thank you. In case S12519, I would also ask to recuse myself. My firm currently represents the petitioner in this case, and I have specific information about this matter and cannot remain fair and impartial in my decision.
Thank you. And again, you're directed to recuse yourself from case S12519. Are there any other members of the board that have disclosures to make? Seeing and hearing none. We have informational items. We have abbreviated plat actions for September 30, October 7, and October 21. And that concludes special order of business. We have no consent agenda and no old business. The Platting Board meets each month on the first and third Wednesday, except holidays, as regular meetings. If we fail to complete our agenda for this meeting, we'll carry it over to the following meeting. The procedure by which the public may speak at this meeting is, after staff's presentation is complete, I will ask for public testimony on the issue. Persons who wish to testify will follow the timeline guidelines established by the Commission Rule of Procedure. Petitioners go first. They have 10 minutes. They may reserve part of their time for rebuttal. Representatives of groups, community councils, and PTAs have 5 minutes. Individuals have 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, the board may ask you questions. And so you can stay up until we've excused you. Any individual may have appeal rights regarding any action the board takes. Appeal of this decision or any conditions are governed by AMC 2111-304. The decision of the board at the scheduled hearing becomes final 7 days after the decision is made on the record, unless someone requests a written request for written decision before the 7th day. And then a record will be made at the hearing, and the request is accompanied by the written request of notice to appeal. Adoption of the written decision by the Platting Board becomes the final appealable decision. Within 20 days of the final appealable decision, an interested party must file with the municipal clerk either a written notice alleging new evidence or changed circumstances under AMC 2111-503, or an appeal of the board's final decision under 2130. With that, we will now turn to case S12515 subdivision. Mark Seward, you may leave the room for this matter. May the record reflect that Mark Seward has recused himself and left the room for this matter. May we have staff's presentation on case S12515?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request to subdivide 2 lots into 1 lot with vacation of a portion of the 66-foot wide section line easement. This request is being made to consolidate the lots to propose Lot 1A1 and to vacate the section line easement where the existing single-family structure is located as it runs through the house and garage. No reviewing agencies had objections to the proposed vacation. The petition site is located south of Wandering Drive, north of Skylark Avenue, and east of Sand Lake Road. A 60-foot public use easement from Skylark Avenue has been requested by staff as a condition of approval. Sand Lake Road in the road improvements and Skylark Avenue, they conform to the the official streets and highways plan for the dedicated width existing. In matters of the vacation request, the petitioner has requested vacation of a portion of the 66-foot section line easement. There was a color map that was passed out in front of you, and that's the red portion that's on the map. In regards to the conditions, staff finds condition 1 has been met. The section line easement runs through the existing house and garage, and the state of Alaska DNR has stated the vacation is in the state's best interest. The traffic department had no comment either. Condition 2, the right-of-way easement is not part of the official streets and highways plan. Condition 3 has been met. The surrounding property is accessed from other rights-of-way. In addition, the section line easement is not needed for any existing or planned public streets or infrastructure. Condition 4 has been met. The section line easement was never constructed and does not facilitate connectivity to the abutting streets or Sand Lake Road. Condition 5 has been met. This vacation will not have any impact on traffic circulation. And condition 6 has been met. It will not result in a realignment of any existing rights-of-way. Agencies have expressed no objection to the request to vacate, and the utility companies will have the opportunity to review the proposed plat and request easements as necessary. Therefore, staff believes that the section line easement is in excess of municipal need and recommends approval of this vacation subject to the conditions as well as the preliminary plat. So those conditions are found on page 6 and 7 of the staff packet, and staff recommends approval of A, 1, and 2. And in the matter of B, 1, 2, 3, and 4, staff would like to make a correction to B3, and it just needs to state before that, resolve with ADOT and PF, Alaska Department of Transportation Public Facilities, the need to dedicate a 120 by 60 foot public use easement from Skylark Avenue to replace the proposed 120 by 50. So we're just adding before that, resolve with ADOT and PF, the need to. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions of staff at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we will now open the matter to the public. May we have the petitioner's representative? Yes, please come forward.
I'm Kyle Wessels.
Say again?
Kyle Wessels.
Thank you. And you have 10 minutes. Do you want to reserve any of your time for rebuttal?
No, I agree with the state's recommendation and with item number 3 to resolve with state the dedication.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Does the board have any questions of Kyle Wessels?
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? Seeing and hearing none. Do you wish to use any of your rebuttal time? Thank you. And we'll now close the public hearing. The matter now rests with the board. May I have a motion to approve a request for vacation? Don Porter, could you please state your motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the request for vacation of a portion of the 66-foot right-of-way subject to recording of the suitable plat in 24 months and provide approval from ADOT and PF and the State of Alaska DNR for the section line easement.
Through the chair, just a correction. It's not a right-of-way, but a section line easement. So just wanted to, Mr. Porter, you said right-of-way. I just want to make it clear.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Section line, yes.
and
Thank you.
Kevin Cross has seconded the motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, the packet has provided adequate support for the reasons for vacation, the surplus to the need, and I agree with those reasonings that have been stated in the packet, and that it is excess to the public's need.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to offer? Kevin Cross.
Thank you. I will also be moving to support this motion. It's important to note that there are 6 criteria for vacation request of a section line easement, and the petitioner has met all 6 requirements. I'd also like to point out under Section 4 that it states on page 5 of your staff packet, this section of section line easement was never constructed and does not facilitate connectivity to the abutting streets or Sand Lake Road. The section line easement is not needed for any existing or planned public streets or infrastructure and is therefore an excess of municipal need.
Thank you. Any other members wishing to speak on the matter? Is there any opposition to the motion on the floor? Seeing no opposition, that motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the plat for 24 months, subject to conditions? Kevin Cross, would you like to state your motion?
In case S12515, Wessels subdivision, lots 1A1, I move to approve the plat for 24 months subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, 2, 2A and B, and 3 with an adjustment to 3 to read, resolve with ADOT and PF the need to, I want that added in front of Section 3, dedicate a 120 by 60 public use easement from Skylark Avenue to replace the proposed 120 feet by 50 feet. And also items number 4A and then subparagraph 5.
Thank you. Don Porter has seconded your motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I would just like to reiterate the staff notes, go back and just of what was found in the finding of approval for the original request. If you'll just go back to the notes, the 6 qualifying criteria, and again emphasizing the note on paragraph 4.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to the motion? Then we'll take the vote. And now we have Mark Seward return. The next matter is case S12518, and may I have a motion to postpone? Do I need a motion, or is, yeah? Don Porter, would you like to state your motion?
We move to postpone case S12518 per the request. I intend to support this motion.
Thank you, and Jana Welton has seconded your motion. Is there any opposition to the motion? Seeing no opposition, would you like? We'll take a vote on that matter. That motion has passed. We'll now turn our attention to case S12519, Lewis and Clark subdivision, lots 1 through 19 in tract A and B. May we have the staff's presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chair. First, I would direct the board to comments that were received today from the public in a supplemental packet. Those are public comments we received today. This is a request to subdivide one tract of land into 19 lots and 2 no development wetlands tracts. The petitioner is requesting approval of a 60-month phasing plan consisting of 3 phases. The phasing plan will allow the developer more time to construct public infrastructure as development progresses with the development of each lot. The petitioner is also seeking a variance from internal street connectivity for a pedestrian walkway between Brownson Circle and Upper DeArmond Road. This variance was previously approved with a different preliminary plat. This was a conservation subdivision of 16 lots that was approved previously. For tonight's preliminary plat, it is showing a 10-foot wide pedestrian walkway between G&A Circle and Upper DeArmond Road in accordance with the same provision of internal street connectivity. Because of the scale of the plat, it may be hard to see, but if you look between lots 3 and 4 on the plat, you'll see a 5-foot either side of that common lot line, the dedication of a pedestrian walkway easement. There is a stream on the property that crosses the southeast portion of the parcel. Needs to be shown on the final plat. The subdivider should also resolve the need for any drainage easements for drainage ways on the property. These should be conditions of approval. When we go through the conditions of approval, the planning recommends you'll see those come up again. G&A Circle and Brownson Circle are new cul-de-sac streets that are internal to this preliminary plat. Both will be local roads, which require 60 feet of right-of-way dedication. The subdivider will be required to enter into a subdivision agreement to construct both streets to 20-foot wide strip pave, typical section number 20-1 of the Municipality of Anchorage standards and specifications. The last matter for me to discuss, I guess, is the variance. In regards to the variance for a pedestrian walkway, the petitioner is requesting a variance for a 10-foot wide pedestrian walkway between Brownson Circle and Upper DeArmond Road. The code provision, or the regulations in regards to this provision read the following. Whenever cul-de-sac streets are created, at least one 10-foot wide pedestrian access right-of-way or easement shall be provided to the extent reasonably feasible between each cul-de-sac head or street turnaround and the closest adjacent street or pedestrian walkway. This requirement shall not apply where it would result in damage to or intrusion into significant natural areas such as a stream, corridor, wetlands, and steep slope areas, or if the configuration of existing adjacent development prevents such a connection. So they're providing this required pedestrian walkway on G&A Circle, but not on Brownson Circle, and they've applied for a variance. In regards to variance approval criteria A, the department finds that the criterion is met. The code requirement to provide a 10-foot wide walkway easement connecting Brownson Circle to Upper DeArmond is unreasonable. There is no need for a pedestrian walkway easement between Brownson Circle and Upper DeArmond Road because the distance by roadway and pedestrian walkway is approximately the same and would benefit only 4 lots. The non-motorized transportation coordinator supports the granting of this variance from the requirement to provide that trail. The non-motorized transportation coordinator, her comments on this matter can be found on page 131 of your packet. Approval criterion B. The criterion is met. The distance saved by using the pedestrian walkway instead of the street is de minimis, meaning it's small difference between the 2 routes. Approval criterion C, criterion is met. The code requirement to provide a pedestrian walkway between Brownson Circle and Upper DeArmond Road is unnecessary in this situation. The distance saved by providing a pedestrian shortcut is only about 100 yards for the benefit of 4 lots. Approval criterion D is met. Providing the trail easement has little benefit to the public and was previously approved in an earlier preliminary plat application before this body. So the department is recommending approval of the variance for the pedestrian walkway and in a separate motion you should, the department's recommending approval of the phasing plan and then also recommending approval of the plat for 60 months, subject to conditions 1 through 11 on pages 8, 9, and 10 of your packet. I want to just take a moment to go through the conditions of approval. The first one is a standard one to resolve utility easements. The second one is to verify that the R10 required yard setbacks are met for the house that's currently under construction on the property. Condition of approval number 3 is a standard requirement to submit engineering reports to on-site water and wastewater services for the safe disposal of wastewater and for wells. The approval criteria, condition of approval 4 is to show the location of the stream that crosses the property. Condition of approval 5 is to resolve with private development whether there is a need for drainage easements. Condition of approval 6 is to the requirement to construct a 5-foot wide soft surface trail within the pedestrian walkway easement that is shown on the plat. It will be required to be in the subdivision agreement, and they'll have to provide signage at both ends, both terminuses of the pathway. Condition of approval 7 is a requirement to construct Brownson Circle and G&A Circle to municipal road standard. 8 is to enter into a subdivision agreement. 9 is to provide a comprehensive site grading and drainage plan. 10 is to submit homeowners documents for the creation of the Lewis and Clark Subdivision Homeowners Association. And 11 is the plat notes. There's several plat notes, and walk through those now. The first one, A, is just carrying forward the wording in the zoning special limitation that only 23 lots are allowed to be created unless they do a conservation subdivision in the future to get 2 more lots. That's essentially what that's saying. Plat note B is that tracts A and B are owned by the Lewis and Clark Homeowners Association. C says that they will be preserved in perpetuity. No permanent structures are allowed to be developed within those wetlands tracts. D alerts people to the fact that there's a stream on the property. E is that you're not allowed to alter drainage without prior approval from the private development division of development services. And F is alerting people that there are wetlands on the property. Those wetlands are being tracted out, but it's a standard plat note when we have wetlands within a subdivision. And then plat notes G through J were all requested by the municipal traffic engineer. They have to do with the location of driveways and the width of driveways. So those are that's the information in the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Seeing none, may we have petitioner's representative?
My name is Paul Gionet, Gionet.
Do you want to reserve any time for rebuttal?
Yes, I do.
How much?
Half and half.
Okay. You may begin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Paul Gionet. I, along with my wife, Suzanne, my daughter, and her husband, Todd Brownson, represent Big Country Enterprises of Anchorage, Alaska. This is the first piece of property that we have attempted to either rezone or plat. This is a 70-acre parcel of undeveloped land within an R10 SL zone on the corner of Upper DeArmond and Canyon Roads. We are requesting 19 platted lots in a 60-month time with 3 phases. The plat will follow all requirements of R10 SL zoning. We all plan to live in several of these lots along with our kids, grandkids, and close friends that we have known in Anchorage over the past 35 plus years. What you have in front of you is 163 pages of primarily technical information and a subsection of 2 published public comments. We have spent the better part of 5 years getting to this point. We have my son-in-law, Todd Brownson, is a geotechnical engineer. He's coordinated with Mr. Tom Dreyer from the S4 group and many other experts in soils, waters, roads, drainage, stream activity, conservation, and waste management. Rather than go through point by point, we would defer to the practicality that you have already perused most of this document and will hear from both staff and the public. We fully concur with all of the staff's recommendations. We would welcome specific questions for our team after public comment to answer any questions. The requirements of this plat are straightforward. There are considerations of utility easements, long-range planning, trails, proper road development, delineated wetlands, stream setbacks, and HOA enacted to determine usage and protection of open spaces, Army Corps of Engineer approvals, traffic flow, fire and safety coordination, waste management, wells, watershed protection, right-of-ways, driveways, setbacks of houses, and lot coverage. Of course, we will still need to submit required reports as needed to the municipality, such as geotechnical, road design, etc., as the plat progresses. I will now reserve the rest of my time for rebuttal, if so needed. Thank you.
Thank you. You get 7 minutes and 27 seconds for rebuttal. Does the board have any questions at this time of the petitioner? Thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak?
Hi, I have some maps. May I disperse them?
Are you with,
Public.
you're with a public organization? Which
Oh,
organization
no,
are you
no,
with?
I'm a
Yeah,
person in the neighborhood.
okay. And your name is?
Gail Morrison.
Gail Morris. And you're wanting to lay some exhibits on the table?
Well, I was going to hand them out. Shall I
Okay.
pass these out? Oh, yeah. Do they each have? Yeah, they both. Oh, there you go. Should I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Gail Morrison, Morrison. I live at 8600 Spenlove Drive, approximately 250 feet north of the Lewis and Clark subdivision. I ask that this governing body require the applicants to provide their neighbors with a trail easement. We have walked this property for decades. Families have had picnics on this land. Many of us have walked our dogs there. Last year, this time, the applicant presented a plat that provided a nice trail easement at the end of what is now Jeanette Circle. It wasn't perfect, but it was on the plat and it was approved. Now the plat has changed. The existing easement that is on the map, you can see it. This one, it's right here. The existing easement would require the neighbors to walk on an average of an 8% grade. This grade is much steeper as the easement reaches Upper DeArmond Road. It would be difficult for children, strollers, moms and dads with young children in papooses, bicyclists, and others to make this arduous walk up the hill. Also, the outlet is towards the top of Upper DeArmond, a poorly lit road with no sidewalks or bike paths. You can see on this map where the different streetlights are. They're far and few between. And this map was made by using the Muni GIS web portal. With the proposed addition of 60-plus homes on Canyon Road, the proposed easement outlet will be detrimental to the health and welfare of all who walk this easement. It is obvious the proposed easement is in a very poor location. The applicant states that undue hardship would result from strict compliance with specific provisions or requirements of the subdivision regulations. This is absolutely not true. The applicant can quite easily permit a 10-foot easement or easements on their property. Please review the 11 by 17 map. You can see alternative 1, that the neighbors within 500 feet of this subdivision came together at my house, and we hashed out some easements that we think would be reasonable. Alternative 1 is only about 1,000 feet long if you combine both segments. Alternative 2 is also about 1,000 feet long, considering that the Lewis and Clark subdivision is actually 77 acres. A few thousand feet is minimal. Again, minimal impact. And what we were thinking, too, is that if we could do the Alt 2, combine it with the Eastern Alt 1, that will keep people off Upper DeArmond. That road has no shoulders, no bike paths, very poorly lit. The road itself is a mess. If we can keep people off, the more we can keep people off the road, the better. So this would...
Thank you.
Yep.
Does the board have any questions of Gail Morrison? Kevin Cross.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, your suggestion is, what you've got here is to add Alt 1, have you your 2 alts on your your 2, and eliminate the current one that's been proposed on the plat?
Yes, the red line is the Lewis and Clark. That's a horrible place to put an easement.
And thank you. You had mentioned that you said you're walking this area. Is this?
We used to.
Okay, so because I did a Google Earth and I couldn't find this cul-de-sac. Maybe I missed it.
We walked the land before the applicant bought the land.
Okay, so That's what I was curious. You said you're walking it, so because I didn't see that the cul-de-sacs had been established and all this, so I was kind of wondering what you had been walking. So basically, it's a private lot that you've been using for trails, and this
Yeah.
was an access.
Yeah, everyone used it. Yeah, the whole neighborhood. It was a hot spot for hiking and walking and picnics and taking the dogs.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak?
Good evening. My name is Eric Wasserman. My wife, Joan Wasserman, is here with me. We're residents of this area, specifically Spendlove and View Heights Drive. And we stand up here to oppose the Big Country's proposal. You know, over the past 5 years, I guess, there have been numerous plans, revisions from the original R8 to R6 to RS to R10, multiple hearings, and I'm certainly not here to block anybody's dream and in order to do injury to their families, grandkids, etc. But I think this is an opportune moment for some creative solutions to what is clearly a nightmare on DeArmond Road. I don't know how many of you have been on Upper DeArmond Road. It is an absolutely unsafe road, especially in the wintertime at night. Just a quick trip there, up there, any time of the day or night, and you can see that guardrail has been beaten to death, broken, because cars lose control. What that compels the casual walker, like my wife and I, try to get out every night and walk. And it would seem to me that the reasonable solution is to create a walking trail that eliminates as much of the danger inherent in Upper DeArmond as possible. I think that is a reasonable request. You know, at this point, I guess I'm unfamiliar with, where we go from here. I get the sense that there's going to be a gated community created, and that's certainly the prerogative, I guess, of the developers. But the communal interests would certainly be better served if there was an access from Canyon all the way as far down Upper DeArmond as you could get. And I think that's not bursting anybody's dream or bubble or infringing on what intentions the developers might have.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time. Any questions? I'm glad to answer them.
Do we have any questions for Eric Wasserman? Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak tonight?
Hi. My name's Tom Burke. I'm somebody else from the neighborhood. My name's Tom Burke. I'm one of the neighbors, but tonight I'm here representing the Glen Elms Road Board. Okay. So this new subdivision will be within our road service area once they have roads. We have seen them develop, and the road board, of course, have nothing to say about what gets developed or how it's zoned. That's not our business. The plans we had seen originally showed that they were building a trail that would connect to Canyon Road, and that apparently is no longer there, and the regulation is that they have to connect to the closest road, And here, both of their easements would connect to Upper DeArmond Road. The interest of the road board is that we have a terrible pedestrian danger going on DeArmond Road. It used to be a small community road. The state park put a trailhead up there that increased our traffic by about 800% over the last 6 or 7 years. Now it's a very busy road. So we have problems with people. There's no sidewalks along Upper DeArmond Road. There's guardrails along most of it, particularly this part that's right up against the new subdivision. So the interest of the road board is that we want to keep as many pedestrians off of Upper DeArmond as we possibly can because it's dark and people are driving fast and it's narrow. We thought that this subdivision was going to be a big positive impact towards that by connecting to Canyon Road with their trail easement, which is now gone. The neighbors are proposing that that be brought back, and that would be a positive step from the point of keeping the pedestrian traffic safe and off of Upper DeArmond. Certainly, the idea that you could have any less connections where people get off of the busy road is a bad idea from the road board's point of view. We would like to put sidewalks or a hiking trail all along Upper DeArmond. We don't have the right-of-way or the money to do that kind of thing. In the meantime, it's a dangerous situation from a public safety point of view, and we don't understand why that isn't first in this design. We're disappointed that it was taken out of this design. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, one other thing. Since this subdivision was proposed, the state has spent approximately $3 million redoing Canyon Road. And in redoing Canyon Road, they've bought a nice, wide right-of-way, much of it from these folks. And there's a walking trail all along that now. So if they can connect to Canyon Road, then people can go out and walk their dog, stay off the traffic for about 2 miles. But right now, it doesn't connect, and that's kind of foolish.
I have a question.
Jenna Wilson.
So just to be clear, this is the alternative that you saw previously on the plat that's now been removed, right?
That was a connection to Canyon Road at approximately that location was in the original plats that were shared with the road board.
Okay.
Now, the road board doesn't have to approve anything. It's just we were in favor of what they were doing when they showed us that connection. And, things have changed since then, and they have no legal obligation to share that with us.
Mm-hmm. And you live in the area, right?
I do.
Is there anything unique or special about this particular plat that would make it difficult to put that access there? The one that was originally there, is there anything special about that area that is unique or difficult to work with?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I'm Joan Priestley, 13101 Jean Road. I'm just going to briefly read from a few court cases because judges say these things better, and these cases have set the standards that the board must follow. The power to grant variances is an exceptional power which should be sparingly exercised and only where a situation falls fully within the specified conditions. Thayer versus Board of Appeals, 1931. Here are the conditions that apply in this application. Fields v. Kodiak, 1981. Specific criteria for a variance exist, against which the evidence can be measured. In order to obtain a variance under zoning ordinances, the applicant is required to establish the sections. Title 21.03.240A is purposes for variances. The variance process is intended to provide limited relief from the requirements of this title in those cases where strict application of a particular requirement will create a practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship. I encourage the board to read all of this section. Juneau v. Thibodeau, back in 1979, still good law. The applicant for a variance has to satisfy both the practical difficulty and the hardship elements of the variance test. Corkery versus MOA, 2018, followed Thibodeau. A board could grant a variance where hardships and practical difficulties resulting from peculiarities of a specific property render it difficult to carry out the provisions of the zoning code. And of course, all of the Frank Griswold cases, which established the need to conform with the comprehensive plan. I believe that this variance does not meet those standards set in those cases, and it does not advance the connectivity requirements as seen in policies 55 and others of the 2020 comprehensive plan. Policy 55 provides for pedestrian and trail connections within and between residential subdivisions in new plats as a policy goal. There's another policy on page 66. I put this together rather quickly, I'm sorry, that encourages the location and design of land use specifically to enhance bicycle and pedestrian movement. And as the Garza Fellow explained, the community will be benefited from having two trails to get us off of DeArmond. Page 83 of the 2020 plan promotes connectivity with safe, convenient, year-round auto and non-auto travel routes within and between neighborhoods. Thank you.
With that, do we have any questions for Joan Priestley? Kevin Cross.
Mrs. Priestley, what is your, since you assisted Gail in handing out the map, so again, just to reiterate and condense for the interest of time, your suggestion is the map that's been provided by Gail and that there should be the addition of these public access in order to allow foot traffic off DeArmond Road to cut through the canyon, is that correct?
Yes, that would be very nice.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak tonight? Please come forward, sir.
Good evening. I apologize for my tardiness. I was at another public meeting across town this evening. My name is Carl Portman, and I live at the end of Upper DeArmond.
Carl, what again?
Portman.
Portman, thank you, Carl.
With regard to the Bronson Circle Trail, in my opinion, it should be included in the plat, as the trail will help reduce pedestrian traffic along Upper DeArmond. With this trail, walkers and runners, including myself, can exit Upper DeArmond and enter back into this collector from the proposed Giannette Trail. Traffic will only increase with more visitation to Chugach State Park, the development of the Lewis and Clark subdivision, and development of a large parcel along Canyon Road. The Bronson Trail and connectivity provided by the Giannette Trail would not only reduce pedestrian traffic, it would also be a service to current and future residents of this area. With regard to the Giannette Trail, I expressed concerns in an email yesterday about the trail and that users would have to hop over a guardrail to either exit or re-enter DeArmond. However, it has been pointed out that there would be an opening and a new guardrail to accommodate trail users, and attention would be given to the steep slope up to the street, potentially including steps to help mitigate the steepness. This would be a good move, and smart planners should be able to come to a solution to address safety and connectivity. The two trails would make for a better, high-quality subdivision and be a nice enhancement for the entire neighborhood. Finally, and in addition, I do encourage the Platting Board to require a buffer of vegetation between Upper DeArmond and the Lewis and Clark subdivision. I also encourage the developer to require that all houses in the subdivision be constructed and finished within a specific period of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Portman? Jenna Welton.
So you live in the area, correct?
Pardon?
You live in the area, correct?
Yes.
Is
In
there
fact,
anything-
my driveway comes out at about the approximate location of the Jeanette Trail.
Okay, and is there anything about this particular area that would make it difficult to construct the easement at that location that you indicated earlier?
The trail. Well, if the trail was merely constructed to the guardrail without an entry, an opening through the guardrail, it would be very problematic because people would need to, it would be an obstacle that they would have to come over the guardrail, and then they would be on the pavement, and at that location, there is absolutely no shoulder because of the guardrail. And so they would either walk on the, right next to the guardrail up to the intersection, or they would have to cross the street where my driveway is and then walk on the other side of the street. If there is an opening to the guardrail there, then they do have that option of walking to the other side of the street. And at a minimum, I would suggest that there be signs on both above it and below it to warn people coming down the street that there is a trail crossing there. Another potential location would be up at the end of Jeanette Circle to come out onto Canyon Road. But the location, depending on where that would come out on Canyon Road, there's issues with that too, because even though the road has been reconstructed, there is a blind spot in that area where traffic comes off of the intersection and starts heading down Canyon Road. And but with the reconstruction, there was brush clearing done there, and there is improved visibility. It's just a matter of the planners taking a look at that as a potential option, but that might be problematic in itself.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other members of the public that wish to speak this evening?
My name is Bruce Ferguson. I own the property that's on the eastern border of the proposed subdivision, that 10 acres there. And I guess this document kind of burns my gizzard a little bit just because there's no legal access to Cox Road for any trail. This subdivision, proposed subdivision, doesn't have any access onto Cox Road at all. In order for this alternative number 2 to work, they would have to have come to me and ask for me to give them an easement back up the east or back up the western property line up to Cox, which of course, I'm not willing to do that. Especially in the fact that they never came and talked to me and asked me, hey, would you, do you think this is a great idea? I mean, so that alternative is off the table. The issue in regard to, someone mentioned earlier that there was a kind of or implied that there was a trail or a widened shoulder on Canyon. There's the problems that were there in every iteration of this subdivision are still there today. The Canyon Road was rebuilt and a lot of money was spent in it. Its shoulder width, though, however, is only a slightly larger or wider than the Upper DeArmond is currently. It is a marked improvement, but it still represents a significant blind spot just because of the fact when you turn from Upper DeArmond and turn onto Canyon Road, you cannot see down the road until you actually get probably about somewhere in the neighborhood of about 100 to 150 yards at least down that road. So you still have a bit of a blind spot. You're still having the same issue as always is, you're going to have trail access coming out onto Canyon Road. It is a steep grade. As you know, it had to be that road had to be reclassified because it couldn't be classified as a collector, and it couldn't feasibly be rebuilt to meet the standards for a collector road. So those issues haven't gone away. As far as, the western access off of, I guess you call it Bronson Circle, does it take the foot traffic off of DeArmond? Well, the answer is probably not, because a lot of the foot traffic originates from Genie anyway, and anyone in a practical sense, if they are headed uphill, they're not going to want to go downhill and then go across the, I guess you would call it the Western Alt 1 trail. So from a practical standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense as far as that goes. And, at this point,
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Bruce Ferguson? Kevin Cross.
So Bruce, living next door to this property, and how long have you lived in the area?
18 years.
All right. So you're kind of, I imagine, like many of the other neighbors who have suggested alternate routes, and I can understand the frustration if, a proposal that basically affects your property without people inquiring. What is your suggestion? It seems to me like we've got a lot of foot traffic on the road. That's the biggest concern. How do we alleviate that? What are your thoughts? As far as the access cutting across and keeping foot traffic off the road?
Well, my solution has been and always will be that, there's a project out there in the future for Upper DeArmond, which involves an enhanced shoulder. There's not the easement there to put in a full-blown trail, but there certainly is a need to have a trail from Hillside all the way up Upper DeArmond. And I would hope that the road board has set aside some funds to rebuild about a third of DeArmond and is in the process of addressing that. And I would hope that over time that we'll be able to fix that problem in its entirety. As you know, Upper DeArmond has been plagued with issues and problems. First it wasn't in its right-of-way, and thanks to these folks here, they solved that problem for the city, as well as the Canyon Road access. That ultimately is the answer, is when that road gets rebuilt and repaired, that it have a widened shoulder, quote unquote, shall we call it an in-situ bike path along the side of it.
Thank you.
Francis McLaughlin.
Thank you. I just had comments to add to the current speaker. I have a copy of the Hillside District Plan in front of me. This is an adopted plan in the municipality, and it has map 4.6, which shows existing and future trails within the Hillside District planning area. It shows no trails whatsoever on this private property, but it does show a primary proposed trail along Upper DeArmond and Canyon. So that is to say that there is, per the plan, to be a trail on Upper DeArmond.
Hang on. Kevin Cross.
So, although it doesn't show up on our print, not very well, it looks like there's a 60-foot road easement, 30 feet on either side. You're saying there's a designated right-of-way for a future trail next to the road?
Yes.
Thank you.
Future trail.
Does the board have any other questions of McLaughlin on that? Okay, and any other questions for Mr. Ferguson? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
Thanks.
Any other members of the public that wish to speak tonight? No other members of the public? Then we will have the petitioner's representative for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
1 minute, we'll be with you. We're setting the time, 7:27. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, I just have a couple comments based on public testimonies. And then I got handed a couple-page comment from my daughter, so I'll read that as I go.
Sir?
Yes?
That
Sorry.
microphone, yeah, that'll make it
Yeah.
record for you.
So just to speak to you about the Rohaley project, that's the next project up. There's a lot of hearsay about 60 homes. It's already been presented to community councils. It's 27 homes. It's been platted up to 58 homes, but they're only asking for 27. So it is an increase, but it's not double it. View Heights Road, we heard from some people that live there. They live on a 15 to 20% slope on the road. Just even coming out on the Canyon Road and walking along there, there's hardly any slope at all as it goes out to Rabbit Lake. It'd be a good alternative for them. Also, if we did the alternate route to Canyon Road, the one that Gail has pointed out there, there's a good possibility we're going to have to cross the stream, and so we're going to have to deal with that. And according to her map that she handed you, you can see the gradient goes quite dramatic as you approach the road and go up on the road. The same problem that we had going up to from GNA Circle to the top, which is actually a much, it's 8%. The other one we had calculated about 12%. And we stood in front of the Platting Board before. We asked that the variance be granted because of safety. Your board ruled that because of safety, and then it went to the appeals, and then it wasn't. So it's not anything that we're trying to take out of the plat. It was originally in there way back 5 years ago when we had an R6 zone request, and we had a road that actually went all the way down the Canyon Road, and so the trail was going to follow that. It was just natural because we had a road connectivity all the way to Canyon Road. That's been gone for many years. The note my daughter handed me says, let me see. After hearing the public testimony regarding the trails, pathways, and connectivity issues, and after hearing from staff and some of the neighbors that they recognize that Canyon Road is indeed a safety problem, and are more understanding of our proposal of a trail as recommended by the municipality from GNA Circle to the closest adjacent street, which is Upper DeArmond Road between lots 3 and 4, with an entrance between 2 guardrail caps and to include a stairway of sorts if necessary. Then, in the spirit of compromise to our neighbors, we withdraw our variance request and ask that a path be located between lots 17 and 18 from Brownson Circle to Upper DeArmond Road as advised by the S4 group. Thank you very much. And I open myself up for questions.
Kevin Cross.
So just out of clarification, do you mean from Bronson Circle on the east side of lot 17, adjacent to lots 19 and 18?
Yes.
Is that what okay.
Right dead center between 17 and 18, yes.
Right
the
there.
Closest to meet Title 21, it would be the closest adjacent street from the cul-de-sac, and that's kind of how my daughter just plugged it out there. And so we're willing to drop the variance. And in the spirit of compromise, our big issue was Canyon Road. It was a big safety problem, and gosh,
And I remember
we're compromising.
I remember the many conversations we had when you had your original proposal. If I remember correctly, wasn't it like a heritage land bank? There's a big green parcel that was down low.
That's correct.
And we had one of the proposals was a really long trail that did a big dog leg.
That's right.
It seems like my memory was at one point we approved a trail access between lots 5 and 6, or was it between 9 and 6? It seems to me like I remember something being. I guess I'm just curious. We've got one. So this is what the complaint is. Too much traffic on DeArmond.
Yes.
So if we can get the traffic and we get the foot traffic to come out down here somewhere, that gets all these people off this road, which although it has a trail right away, doesn't have one.
See
it isn't installed.
The big concern is traffic and getting traffic off DeArmond. We're allowing a nice access now between 17 and 18. People can come into the development, they can walk around, they can turn around the cul-de-sac, go back out, or they could exit up on DeArmond Road through lots 3 and 4.
And doesn't touch Bruce's property. And so, and then I'm just curious, so the only reason we've then jumped back up
Right,
is because
to meet the
muni
criteria.
requires in under Title 21 take the shortest distance.
That's correct.
Thank you.
We're trying to have the spirit of compromise here.
Thank you. I think still have 4 minutes. Yeah,
I'm done.
done. Kevin Cross, did you have any follow-up questions?
To staff, given the petitioner's requested change, what next?
Well, the applicant has withdrawn the request for a variance, so I guess you would probably not need to make a motion on the variance at all. I guess adding a new condition of approval to provide a 10-foot wide pedestrian easement from Brownson Circle to Upper DeArmond would satisfy that, and I can restate that one more time. Yeah, I don't think you need to deny the variance request. They've just stated on the record that they want to withdraw it, which is a really nice thing for them to do based on what their neighbors have asked.
I concur. I guess my other thought is now that you've changed, does this do anything to public testimony, and now do they get to say, I mean...
No. This kind of thing actually has happened before. This is pretty rare, so it's a good question. But no, I mean, they've just withdrawn the request. It's happened before. Yeah, you would just add a condition of approval requiring them to provide the easement as they've offered to do, and that may be.
So would we just go into removing Department Recommendation A and moving just to vote on B and C?
Yeah. So the Planning Department and the non-motorized transportation coordinator, the trails coordinator, are both recommending approval for the variance, and yet the applicant is decided to withdraw their request for the variance. Yeah, you would not act on Planning Department Recommendation A, and instead add a new condition of approval number 12, to say provide a 10-foot wide pedestrian easement from Brownson Circle to Upper DeArmond, and that would provide for what Mr. GNA has just said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The public hearing portion of the matter is now closed, and the matter rests with the board. I'd like the record to reflect that the request for an approval of a variance has been withdrawn and will not be considered by the board at this time due to consent of the petitioner. So at this time, can I have a motion to approve the requested phasing plan? Jenna Weltson, would you like to state your motion?
Sure. I motion that we approve the three-part phasing plan submitted by the applicant. I see no issues with that. We heard no negative testimony, and that would be my motion, and I would support it.
Thank you. Kevin Cross seconded your motion. Are there any additional findings anyone would like to offer? And is there any opposition to the phasing plan? Seeing no opposition, may we have a vote? Next, may I have a motion to approve the plat for 60 months, subject to the conditions as provided on pages 8 through 10, with the addition of 12. Provide a 10-foot pedestrian easement between lots 17, 18, and 19, between Bronson Circle and Upper D. Armand Road.
Got it?
Kevin Cross is making the motion. Would you like to state your motion?
Regarding case S12519, Lewis and Clark subdivision, lots 1 through 19, I move to approve the plat for 60 months subject to the following conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 A, B, C, and D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and L. And number, was there a number 12 in there? 11.
Add, can make a friendly amendment. Add condition number 12, approve, add a 10-foot pedestrian easement from Bronson Circle to Upper D. Armand.
Thank you, Jenna.
Between lots 17 and 18.
Thank you, yes, between lots 17 and 18.
With that clarification, that's the motion. It's been seconded by Jana Weltzen. Is there anyone who wants to make any findings? Kevin Cross.
Thank you. We had 6 public testimony, 5 from the public and 1 Tom Burke, who represented Glen Alps Road Board. And all public testimony pointed to the concern about foot traffic on D. Armand Road. That was the largest concern. And so the petitioner was kind enough to grant or acquiesced, basically, allowing for the access to be on the east edge of Lot 17. This is in compliance with Title 21. Regarding access onto Canyon Road off of Janet Circle, the code does require that it takes the shortest distance, so it will be accessing back on D. Armand, but this meets all platting requirements. And I believe, at least for the time being, it'll help alleviate a lot of the foot traffic, which is the largest public concern. In time, it would be nice to see D. Armand Road get developed and make space of the easements that have been set aside for it. But that'll have to happen on a day when we have much more money.
Thank you. Any other findings? I guess I would also like to offer that the board doesn't have the authority to require the trail that's going to be put between 3 and 4 to be put in a different location. At another time, we did approve a different trail, but at that time, it was the shortest trail from that cul-de-sac to the nearest road. That's how the trail, in that case, wound up going to Canyon Road. But in this time, they comply with the code by providing that trail. They also provide compliance with the requirement that they go to the nearest road for the other cul-de-sac. The other road, the Messino Street Trail, is not the closest road, and we would have no basis to require them to go the longer distance. Their compliance with the Platting Board, or the municipal code, renders the discretion we might have with respect to variances not necessary. Accordingly, I'm going to support the motion. With that, we'll call the vote. Motion has passed. Any individual may have appeal rights relating to any action the Platting Board takes. Appeal of this decision or any of the conditions is governed by AMC 2111-304. The decision of the board at this scheduled public hearing becomes final in 7 days after the decision is made, unless someone requests a written report submitted to the Planning Division prior to expiration of the 7th day to write a written decision upon the record made at the hearing. The request is accompanied by a written notice of intent to appeal. Adoption of the decision by the Platting Board becomes the final appealable decision, and within 20 days of the final appealable decision, an interested party must file with the municipal clerk either a written motion alleging new evidence or changed circumstances, or an appeal of the board's final appealable decision. Okay. With that, are there any appearance requests? Being no appearance requests, we do have vacancies on the board. May I have any nominations for chair? Jana Welton.
Well, I would nominate Clay Walker for chair, and for vice chair, I'd nominate Kevin Cross.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, is there, we'll call the vote. Is there a second? Valerie Ritz is seconded. Does anyone want to speak to their motion?
I think you both do a phenomenal job leading the meetings as it is, so I think that's great.
Thanks.
And you'd be very competent, both of you.
Kevin Cross.
Seriously. Just kidding. I look forward to the challenge.
Thank you. And with that, is there any opposition to the motion on the floor? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. With that, we will now stand in adjournment. It is 7:47.